Hello. Hello. Minister office not clear or no? Hello. Hello. കേൾക്കാമോ? ഹലോ.
കേൾക്കാൻ പറ്റുന്നുണ്ട്.
ഹലോ.
കേൾക്കാം
ഹലോ കേൾക്കാമോ? ഓക്കെ
കേൾക്കാം.
ഓക്കെ ഹലോ.
Hello, check.
Good morning. Good morning, sir. Kottayam, good morning, sir. NDR4. Good morning, sir. PSB. SHQ BSF, good morning. Sound near.
ക്ലിയർ ആണോ
Hello, good morning, SHQ BSF. Good morning, sir.
Morning.
Good morning, sir.
Sir, NDRF sir.
NDRF.
Sir, good morning. SHQ base of Trivandrum sir.
Sir, speech ठीक है ना, speech और video.
ठीक है सर, ठीक है, आपका ठीक है सर. ओके सर.
Okay, thank you.
ओके सर.
കൺട്രോളർ ക്ലിയർ ആണോ? പിന്നെ ട്രിവാൻഡ്രം സിറ്റി പോലീസ് ഓഫീസർ ക്ലിയർ ആണോ?
Sir, good morning, sir. Railway Palakkad Division Safety Officer, sir. Audible, sir. Good morning, sir. Palakkad Division Railway Safety Officer speaking, sir.
You are audible, sir.
Thank you.
Welcome.
സാർ രാവിലെ ഇരിക്കുന്നത് രാവിലെ ഞാൻ അല്ല ഞാൻ ജീവസാറിന്റെ ഞങ്ങളോട് പോയി സാറിനെ കണ്ട് ചോദിക്കുകയും ചെയ്തായിരുന്നു. കഴിഞ്ഞ പോയി സാറെ നിങ്ങളോട് പറയാൻ ചെയ്തു. എനിക്ക് അറിയാമല്ലോ ജീവസാറിന് സിഎസ്ആർ വരുമോ? എനിക്ക് പിന്നെ ഞാൻ അവിടെ വെക്കാം. സിഎസ്ആർ വരുമോ? പിന്നെ അവിടെ വെക്കാം. ആണോ സിഎസ്ആർ ഇരിക്കുന്നുണ്ട്? 10 മിനിറ്റ്
Morning, sir.
ഹലോ ഇല്ല ഓഡിബിൾ അല്ല ഷിഫ്റ്റ് ചെയ്യേണ്ടി വരും ഡിവൈസ് ഷിഫ്റ്റ് ചെയ്യേണ്ടി വരും മൃദുവിനെ വിളിച്ചേ
സാർ കേൾക്കാമോ സാർ? സാർ കേൾക്കാമോ സാർ? കഴിഞ്ഞിട്ട് അവിടെ പോയിരിക്കും.
ഹലോ 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 ഹലോ
KSDMA, this is Southern Command. How do you read me, sir?
ഹലോ ഹലോ
This KSDMA, this is Southern Command. How do you read me, sir?
ഹലോ ഹലോ
ശേഖർ
ഇതിന്റെ അല്ല ഡ്രൈവർ വേറെയാണ് ഏത്
ശേഖർ
ആ ഹലോ Yeah, we can hear you. Yes, that's true. But we are not able to hear anyone from there.
KSTMA, this is Southern Command. How do you read me, sir?
Good morning, KSDMA. Can you read me? Can you hear me, please? KSDMA, can you hear me? Please respond. This is General Bell here from NDMA.
We can hear you, General. We can hear you.
Good. So are we ready to start?
Can we give 5 minutes? Few more might be joining in.
Right. We'll wait for 5 minutes. Headquarters Sun Command, you are trying to call up and make contact. Can you hear us?
Yes, sir. I can read you loud and clear, sir. How do you read me?
Yeah, you're fine. I can't see your video.
Now, sir?
Achha, yeah, Air Headquarters Sun Command. All right.
Yes.
I thought
Yes.
you were all right.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
General Sudhir, CRPF informed that they may not be able to join. We have informed them to inform NDMA directly. Your letter was also marked to them, but remaining forces have acknowledged that they might be joining.
Good morning, sir. Rajesh Yadav, Commandant CRPF from Palipuram.
Very good. So, yeah, represent. Thanks.
I'm joining the meeting, sir. The program which was earlier scheduled, now it has been changed. So I'll be joining the meeting, sir.
Thank you. Thank you from the SDMA side.
Shekhar, if everybody has joined, we could begin.
Yes, sir. We could start, sir, and not everyone would have joined yet. We thought we will give them 5 minutes to kind of figure out this new internet link. This VC is not very commonly used, this VC link, so people might be finding it difficult. It's also very heartening to note that Asha ma'am has also joined. Our additional Chief Secretary Health has joined, who is also a member to State Executive Committee. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for joining in.
Right. Good morning, everyone. The very special welcome to all participants in today's coordinating conference and orientation for the mock exercise for state of Kerala. I especially welcome Dr. Jayatilak, the Assistant Chief Secretary, Government of Kerala, as also the member KSDMA, and all my esteemed colleagues and friends for this orientation conference.
Sudhir sir, General Sudhir sir, we have our Vice Chairman, Honorable Minister for Revenue, who has joined in. He will be here to express his gratitude. He has joined in. He is traveling, so he is excused. So he would like to speak few words, ensure that the government is on board with us. So he's our Vice Chairman of the State Disaster Management Authority, Honorable Minister for Revenue, Advocate K. Rajan.
Right. Rajanji, very warm welcome to you. We are very happy and delighted to have you with us and honored. May I please request you to say a few words first before we start the proceedings today?
Sir, mute on, sir. Rajan sir, mute on, sir.
So good morning, everybody. Today I am very busy with some revenue matters in my own district at Trichy. I കേൾക്കാമോ ശേഖർ?
കേൾക്കാം സർ, കേൾക്കാം.
ദുരന്ത നിവാരണ പ്രക്രിയകളുടെ ഭാഗമായി സാധാരണ നിലയിൽ സംസ്ഥാന വ്യാപകമായി പ്രളയ ഉരുൾപൊട്ടൽ തയ്യാറെടുപ്പിന്റെ ഭാഗമായിട്ടുള്ള മോക്ക് ഡ്രില്ലിന് ഔപചാരികമായി നാം തുടക്കം കുറിക്കുകയാണ്. യഥാർത്ഥത്തിൽ 2022 ഡിസംബർ 29 ആണ് പ്രളയ ഉരുൾപൊട്ടൽ തയ്യാറെടുപ്പുകൾ വിലയിരുത്തുന്നതിന്റെ ഭാഗമായിട്ടുള്ള മോക്ക് ഡ്രില്ലുകൾ സംഘടിപ്പിക്കാൻ വേണ്ടി ആലോചിക്കുന്നത്. 19-27 ഡിസംബർ 2022 തീയതികളിൽ ഇതിന്റെ തയ്യാറെടുപ്പുമായി ബന്ധപ്പെട്ട യോഗങ്ങളും നടക്കുന്നുണ്ട്. കേരളത്തിലെ 14 ജില്ലകളിലും ദുരന്ത നിവാരണവുമായി ബന്ധപ്പെട്ട എല്ലാ വകുപ്പുകളെയും കൂട്ടിച്ചേർത്തുകൊണ്ടാണ് മോക്ക് ഡ്രിൽ സംഘടിപ്പിക്കാൻ നാം ആഗ്രഹിക്കുന്നത്. തിരുവനന്തപുരം, കൊല്ലം, പത്തനംതിട്ട, ആലപ്പുഴ, എറണാകുളം, തൃശൂർ, മലപ്പുറം, കോഴിക്കോട്, കണ്ണൂർ, കാസർഗോഡ് എന്നീ ജില്ലകളിൽ പ്രളയ സാധ്യതയുമായി ബന്ധപ്പെട്ട മോക്ക് ഡ്രില്ലും, പാലക്കാട്, കോട്ടയം, ഇടുക്കി, വയനാട് ജില്ലകളിൽ ഉരുൾപൊട്ടൽ സാധ്യതകൾ മുന്നിൽ കണ്ടുകൊണ്ടുള്ള മോക്ക് ഡ്രിൽ നടപടികളുമാണ് സാധാരണ നിലയിൽ സംഘടിപ്പിക്കാൻ വേണ്ടി ആലോചിച്ചിട്ടുള്ളത്. ദുരന്ത മുന്നറിയിപ്പ് ലഭ്യമാകുന്ന ഘട്ടത്തിൽ തന്നെ ഇൻസിഡന്റ് റെസ്പോൺസ് സിസ്റ്റത്തിന്റെ പ്രവർത്തനം, കൺട്രോൾ റൂമുകളുടെ പ്രവർത്തനം, വിവിധ വകുപ്പുകൾ തമ്മിലുള്ള ഏകോപനം, ആശയവിനിമയോപാധികളുടെ കൃത്യമായ ഉപയോഗം, അപകട സ്ഥലത്ത് നടത്തുന്ന പ്രതികരണ രക്ഷാ പ്രവർത്തനങ്ങളുടെ ഏകോപനം തുടങ്ങി പ്രധാന കാര്യങ്ങൾ ഈ മോക്ക് ഡ്രില്ലിന്റെ ഭാഗമായും അതിന്റെ യോഗങ്ങളിലും വിലയിരുത്തപ്പെടും. ദേശീയ ദുരന്ത നിവാരണ അതോറിറ്റിയിൽ നിന്നുള്ള പ്രത്യേക നിരീക്ഷകൻ സ്റ്റേറ്റ് എമർജൻസി ഓപ്പറേഷൻ സെന്ററിൽ ഇരുന്ന് ഈ പ്രവർത്തനങ്ങളെ നിരീക്ഷിക്കുന്ന വിധത്തിലാണ് ഇത് തയ്യാറെടുപ്പ് നടത്തിയിട്ടുള്ളത്. എന്തായാലും നേരിൽ ഈ യോഗത്തിൽ പങ്കെടുക്കണം എന്നായിരുന്നു ആഗ്രഹിച്ചിരുന്നത്. പക്ഷെ കഴിയാത്ത വിധത്തിൽ ചില യാത്രകൾ അനിവാര്യമായി വന്നതുകൊണ്ട് റവന്യൂ വകുപ്പുമായി ബന്ധപ്പെട്ട് അഡീഷണൽ ചീഫ് സെക്രട്ടറിയും ലാൻഡ് റവന്യൂ കമ്മീഷണറും ഈ യോഗത്തിൽ പങ്കെടുക്കുന്നുണ്ട്. KSTMയുടെ മെമ്പർ സെക്രട്ടറിയും ഈ യോഗത്തിലുണ്ട്. അവരെല്ലാം ചേർന്ന് ആ പ്രവർത്തനങ്ങളെ റവന്യൂ വകുപ്പിന്റെ ദുരന്ത നിവാരണ വകുപ്പിന്റെ ഭാഗമായി ഉള്ള കാര്യങ്ങൾ ഏകോപിപ്പിക്കും. എന്തായാലും ഈ പ്രവർത്തനങ്ങളിൽ പങ്കാളികളാകുന്ന എല്ലാവരെയും റവന്യൂ വകുപ്പിന് വേണ്ടി അഭിവാദ്യം ചെയ്യുന്നു, അഭിനന്ദിക്കുന്നു. യോഗം നടക്കുന്നതിനിടയിൽ വീണ്ടും കൂടിച്ചേരാം എന്ന് കരുതുന്നു. ഇത് ഔപചാരികമായി തുടക്കം കുറിച്ചായി അറിയിക്കുന്നു. എല്ലാവർക്കും നമസ്കാരം.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Shri Rajanji, for your opening remarks. And from what I could make out, I don't understand the language, but he was talking about the incident response system and all other activities that are going to be actioned on during the mock exercise. So it's a very motivating start for this mock exercise. Now, without wasting any more time, I will straight away move on to my coordination conference briefing for you all. And at the end of this, please feel free to ask and clear any doubts if you have. Yeah, may I request the KSDMA to confirm that they can see my screen?
Yes, we can see.
Yes, we can see.
Okay, I will request all participants to mute their mic, please, now. Right. So before we start this briefing, we must all understand, a disaster is likely to be not a prepared event. Though in floods, we do get a little bit of warning. So ideally, this mock exercise should have been conducted as a surprise exercise. We are to actually validate our capabilities and preparedness. And also, the mock exercise should be based on realistic response timings. That means a flood situation will carry on for 3 or 4 days at least before we get things under control, or even longer. However, we all understand the constraints that we are working in under, and therefore this is precluded, and we are conducting this exercise the way we are. We must also understand here that the primary objective of this exercise is learning oriented. So while we are validating our system, we are not trying to find faults, and as such, we are going ahead the way we are. Now, today's coordinating conference, the agenda is as shown. Please go through it. Now, it is important that on termination of the exercise, all representatives of departments and districts, in case that heads of departments are not present, should brief them so that the conduct of the exercise is smooth and all departments and districts take the necessary preparatory actions. A media curtain raiser is also recommended to be given by the state so that it sets the stage for the exercise, and also people are aware that we are having a mock exercise. Okay, we come to the broad program for the mock exercise that is scheduled. So this is the broad program for the exercise from 27th to 29th of December. On 27th December, we will be having the tabletop exercise, wherein after the opening formalities, selected stakeholders will present their disaster management plans. And thereafter, the tabletop exercise will be conducted based on certain painted scenarios. 28th December is being left for preparation for the mock exercise, wherein the simulation sites that are to be activated, certain coordination is required there that can be done by you. The EOCs, IRTs, and IRS facilities, etc., can be fully activated, including setting up facilities like staging areas, etc. And you can also carry out your communication check to ensure that this is functional fully for a disaster response. On 29 December will be the physical mock exercise. Now coming to the tabletop exercise on 27th of December 2022. Now the aim of this tabletop exercise, which is from 10 o'clock to 13:30 hours on 27 December, is basically to set the stage for successful conduct of the mock exercise. And primarily this involves exercising and rehearsing all our stakeholders and key disaster managers in what their primary roles and responsibilities are, and what are the likely situations, emergency situations that are going to arise in a flood scenario, especially those that are going to be played during the mock exercise. This will help us to discern if there are any gaps in our preparation and readiness for the mock exercise, and we can thereafter evolve viable action plans for conduct of the mock exercise. Now, the general scenario that will be played during the mock exercise is known to you all better than me. But just to summarize it, we are playing it that, the southwest monsoon are gathering momentum, and the state has been receiving rains well above the average annual precipitation levels. IMD has warned of a synoptic weather system consisting of low pressure area building up over the Arabian Sea, which is likely to cause heavy and concentrated rainfall in the next coming few days, and which is possibly going to cause floods in the floodplains. Last few days thereafter have witnessed, after this warning, they have witnessed continuous and heavy precipitation, which has found its way into the rivers, and the rivers have swollen up. High intensity storms have also resulted in heavy flows into the rivers, and cloudbursts, debris overflow, sudden release of water may also result in flash floods taking place. So because of this, there is a likelihood of loss of action if adequate precautionary measures are not taken. And this loss may include loss to property, livestock, and damage to crops, which will necessitate massive relief operations in the affected areas. Damage to services, communication infrastructure, etc. is also quite likely. Landslides are also likely to take place in areas prone to them in our state. So this is a broad scenario based on which situations will be painted during the tabletop exercise, and we will thereafter act on them during the mock exercise. We are aware about the rivers in Kerala that we have 44, out of which 41 are flowing eastwards. These will all come into play. I will like to mention here that in the tabletop exercise and mock exercise, we are not going to raise specific scenarios related to various districts. Since the aim is to excise all stakeholders, it will be assumed that there are floods affecting all the vulnerable areas, and therefore you take action as per your district contingencies. Now coming to the conduct of the tabletop exercise in greater detail. So 10 to 10:15 after the initial opening remarks, we will have about 45 minutes to 50 minutes for presentation of disaster management plans by nominated departments and stakeholders. After this presentation, we will have the tabletop exercise, which will be conducted by me, and wherein I will paint certain scenarios, and we will expect response from the stakeholders who are required to take action. And then we will take half an hour for final coordination for the mock exercise, which is scheduled on the 29th. Now, when we come to the presentation of plans, we will have 4 presentations. One by the KSDMA of the overall flood disaster management plan specific to the flood scenario. Then one by one selected district, and by 2 nominated departments. However, I would request the KSDMA to ensure that all districts and all departments are prepared for this presentation. This will act as a preparatory aspect and improving our preparedness. Now, these presentation of plans, due to paucity of time, must be brief and restricted only to the flood scenario, please. So please keep your presentations to 6 to 7 slides each, wherein with respect to your department or oblique the state or district, you will cover the HVRA and what is your worst case scenario, in meaning what kind of damage, casualty, etc. that can take place based on data and modeling. Thereafter, what are your resources available, including reserves, to take care of these casualties, damage, etc. and response, and what is your planned employment? Then after matching your resources with the worst case scenario, there is always a shortfall in resources. We are never optimally resourced. So how do you plan to prioritize these resources to take care of the priority areas first? What is the shortfall and what are your plans to make up the shortfall? So for example, if you are looking at the power and electricity department, if you expect, X number of transformers, X kilometers of your electricity cables to be damaged, etc. What are the reserves you are holding? This will be about 10% of your overall whatever is put up in the state. Where are these reserves located? How do you plan to utilize them to rejuvenate the services which have been interrupted by floods? And thereafter, how do you plan to make up the shortfall? Because you will need more resources. Where are these resources going to come from? Now we come to the conduct of the mock exercise on 29th. So before we conduct the mock exercise, it is important that certain preparatory actions are taken by us, so that we derive the full benefit of this mock exercise. So updation of disaster management plans, especially departmental, is the first and most essential step. We also need to take stock of whatever preparatory work has been done for mitigation, preparedness, response, and coordination with early warning agencies, dam waters release coordination, including with neighboring states. So these are issues that you need to work on, and these will be played during the mock exercise. Resource inventories, etc., need to be updated, especially your India Disaster Resource Network. We need to check that all resources have been updated on that. Those districts which have not, they should update them, and also include resources with the PSUs and civilians resources. For example, if you talk of earth moving equipment or even drones, etc., these can be updated over there. Then we need to check out our critical resource, their functionality, which are required for disaster response, especially drones, radios, satellite phones, etc. Your maps, satellite imagery, GIS platforms, their functionality, etc., and integration. Your communication network, especially having communication instructions in place for disaster network to be functional, wireless disaster network to be functional in case the mobile network becomes non-operational. Mobilization of IRTs at state and district level, their briefing, everyone understanding what their tasks and roles are, and your search and rescue resources. Functionality check of all EOCs, use of NDMA, radio broadcast facility. In case we are going to talk on radios, communicate on radios, whatever transmissions are taking place on the radio, it's ideally they should be able to be broadcast in the EOC so that everyone can hear what is the conversation going on. Use of other functionality of other elements like sirens, wireless sets, loud hailers, etc. This should be done now, and it must be being done periodically. This is another opportunity must take place. Use and also use this opportunity for reinforcing your awareness campaign on what actions the citizenry needs to take during floods, especially do's and don'ts, etc. Coordination with other response agencies that are going to come to your aid, especially with the Army, NDRF, SDRF, your other Central Armed Police Forces, your youth services, etc. We must also, the state must also make sure that this coordination has been completed by way of civil uniformed liaison conference taking place, and this conference, the output should be that you should be aware what are the assistance and resources, what is the assistance and resources that that particular organization can give you. For example, Army, district-wise, how many columns can they give you? What kind of equipment do they have? What medical resources can they help you with? Are there any aerial resources they can help you with? Are there any drones or UAVs they can help you with for surveillance and building situational awareness, etc. So this resource availability should be mapped out. This coordination should be done, and also what assistance these elements who come into your aid will require. In case the Army columns are coming in, do they require additional boats? Do they require any administrative support after 72 hours? Generally, all these columns come self-contained for 72 hours. So after that, they will need administrative. So all these elements need to be tied up now in advance and before the mock exercise. Now, certain preliminary actions that need to be taken by the KSDMA, DDMA. During the mock exercise, we will be activating 5 simulation sites to simulate response. Actually, how will you, react in case of actual live contingency? And these 5 sites which have been selected in each participating district will be one village or locality for prophylactic evacuation. The moment the flood warning is there, waters are surging, rivers waters are reaching near and above danger level, you are aware which are the areas which are likely to be submerged first and most where the danger is the most. So instead of waiting for the floods to come in, ideally we should evacuate people from those areas before the floods come in, so that we are better prepared for response when the actual situation comes. So one such locality for prophylactic evacuation will be identified in each of the districts, and this prophylactic evacuation will take place. Then one village or locality which has been submerged, where search and rescue and relief are required, this will be activated, and we will simulate the response here. A site for specialized rescue, including landslides. Whichever districts have landslide affected areas, they can select landslide this thing, or maybe some people stuck in a boat or drowning, etc. Those kind of incidents where specialized rescue by helicopters or NDRF, etc. is required. One hospital in each district will be activated for emergency response, wherein the entire spectrum of hospital activities for activation of the disaster management plan will be gone through. And then one school or industry or bridge or dam in the flood affected area, this we leave it to the district and the KSDMA to decide. So please finalize all these sites. Now each site will have, you will please share with me the site name and coordinates district wise compiled, and there will be one officer in charge for the site who will coordinate the actions over here. Coordinating meaning the administrative coordination. Making sure the number of people who are required to act as the people who are victims, etc., or they are there, etc. That coordination, not the response coordination. The response coordination activation will be done obviously by the incident commander. So kindly compile these details at the district level and share with the KSDMA, and I will request the KSDMA to share these details with me by 23rd of December. Whichever you select these sites, the ICP and MAP, that is a medical aid post, will be established near the search and rescue relief site on ground. Additionally, for each district, we would require details. So based on the sites you have selected, what is your staging area, location, etc., incident command post, heli base, helipad, medical aid post, and a camp for responders. So these details may kindly be also compiled district wise. I have given you the way these details are required to be filled for one of the districts in Arunachal. Similarly, these details can be filled district wise at the state level. Now, we have done numerous mock exercises at the state of Kerala, so I'm sure you are aware of this. But I would like to reiterate, that safety and security are paramount during the exercise. So it's important for us to ensure that no student or civilian is used in any activity that has a risk of injury or death. For example, if you are trying to evacuate people who are to simulate, they are drowning in the water, etc., it must be done sensibly. And people who are swimmers, they must be used with life jackets, etc., so that we don't have any untoward incident. And use trained people for this. For all such simulations which have some element of risk, use only your fire emergency service or SDRF and NDRF people. And don't go in for any unduly risky simulations. Adequate number of civil defense, home guards or other volunteers, trained volunteers should be present, and they will be used for role playing of the injured and dead and people who have to be evacuated. And obviously it goes without saying, but I would like to reiterate that the students and citizenry who are participating and also who are in that area should not be unduly inconvenienced or rushed. So this is important, and hence we need to coordinate all these aspects in advance. Now the sequence of the mock exercise that we will follow. To reiterate, the mock exercise will be conducted in all the participating districts of the state simultaneously. It is not a staggered event. So simultaneously it will take place, and independent observers who will be mostly from the Army or the Central Armed Police Forces or the NDRF will be detailed. They will have assessment forms issued to them, and they will move out to the various simulation sites well in advance before the exercise starts to observe the activities that are taking place. In addition, these observers will also be present at the ICP Incident Command Post and also the EOC. So each district which is participating will have 7 people who are the observers. 5 of them are going to be at the simulation site. 1 is going to look after the Incident Command Post and also the staging area. And 1 observer will be at the EOC. These details will further be clarified by me on the day of the tabletop exercise, and on this day we will also get the names of the observers and the list will be finalized. That is 2 days before the mock exercise. Now these observers have reached the simulation sites, and besides that, self-assessment forms will be given to all stakeholders. I will share with you what is the format for both these forms, the observer assessment forms and self-assessment forms. So once the EOC has been activated, this will be around 9 o'clock in the morning. The first aspect, of course, we all know that when we are going in for disaster response, we need to check the business continuity, whether the DOC or SEOC is capable of functioning independently and in a sustained manner for at least 5 to 7 days. So this business continuity check will be carried out, and then the scenarios as they develop, the DOCs and SEOC will respond to them. Now the response will include obviously actions taken on ground as per the incident response system, wherein the incident command posts are established, staging area, relief camps, medical aid posts are also established, and the hospitals which are earmarked for evacuation of casualties activate the disaster management plans. So to reiterate, 1 hospital per district will be nominated for this and will activate its complete disaster management plan. Thereafter, after the initial response by volunteers, etc., specialist response will also come in, and in this response we will dovetail the NGOs and other volunteers into this response. To monitor this exercise, we will have a WhatsApp group for observers. All these details have been mentioned in the instructions already issued to you in writing, wherein live photo updates will be fed by these observers to us. And also on that day, we will have a video conferencing link functioning and joining the DOC and the SEOC, as also the observers and the incident commander, etc., can activate this link on their mobile phones. So via their mobile phones, we will interact with these incident commanders and other stakeholders on ground, and also get live streaming of whatever actions is taking place. With this, after all these actions are taken, the NDMA team will also go around and carry out a physical look at whatever actions are taking place, and then the exercise will be called off. The observers will get back to the districts, and we will have district headquarters, and we will have a hot wash or a debriefing carried out through video conferencing for the districts. And as far as state is concerned, SEOC is concerned, all those stakeholders who can come there, they should be present physically. Now this is the sequence I have given you of the mock exercise. This is a broad program. From 9 to 13:30 hours is how we will play the mock exercise. So at 9 o'clock is the initial state of the mock exercises. The incident response system has been activated. Your facilities have been created. You have already got flood warnings, and therefore your flood monitoring systems are functional and observers are in location. This is the start point of the mock exercise. At 9 o'clock, the SEOC will review the situation and provide a situational update to us based on the scenario which has already been fed to you. And this situational update obviously will be given to the responsible officer and incident commander at the SEOC. Following this update and business continuity checks and all those actions which will take place at the SOC, from 9:20 to 10 o'clock will be a precautionary evacuation of one village or locality to the nominated refugee camp. So this action will be simulated, and then from 10 o'clock onwards, we will to 10:30 we will go in for the floods are actually set in, and your communications are down. You have to switch to wireless communication, and you have to build situational awareness as to what is happening. And based on the situational awareness that is being generated, and of course the initial emergency response having gone in, the incident response team and task force based response will commence from 10:30 onwards. After initially seeing and interacting with various response elements from the SCOC, the NDMA team will visit on ground the facilities which have been activated in Thiruvananthapuram, and the simulation sites over there to see on ground the action that is taking place. So we will terminate this exercise by around 13:30 hours to 1400 hours, have a short lunch break, and at 1500 hours will be the debriefing live, which will take place via video conferencing oblique physically at the SCOC, and this will be followed by the media briefing. Now, I have tabulated for you the aspects that need to be focused on that will be evaluated during the mock exercise. This is all self-explanatory, but I've done this for your benefit. Please go through this. So right from warning system, alert protocols, etc., and functioning of the EOC. How do you build situational awareness? How do you use various resources for it? How do you use your GIS, satellite imagery, etc. for this? How do you create the integrated, what you may call the flood picture? What is the picture of the floods in the state at that point of time? And based on that, allocation of resources and coordination of effective response. Hospitals I mentioned, departmental plans, their disaster management reserves were held by them. And last and not the least, God forbid such a situation arises, in most cases the state's resources are overwhelmed. And in this case also we are going to be playing a level 3 disaster. Therefore you will need central and outside assistance. So are you ready to receive this assistance through road and air? And of course, in the case of Kerala, it could also be by sea if required. Now, when we carry out the simulation, there are certain actions required at each site. I have again tabulated these for your convenience. Now, like I mentioned, 5 sites in each district for simulated action. Now, for area of prophylactic action, evacuation, it is important that everyone, the stakeholders are clear as to what is the trigger for this prophylactic evacuation. How do you decide that a particular area has to be evacuated before the floods have actually set in? The situation has become very dangerous, and floods are likely to come, are imminent. So how do you decide this? So that trigger has to be specified. Logistics have to be very clearly worked out. A logistic plan has to be in place, especially including special arrangements for the old, the infirm people, and the differently abled people, as also the pregnant and expecting mothers. The refugee camp where these people are to be evacuated, the route, etc., the capacities, the number of vehicles, etc., traffic control. So this entire plan has to be in place. On ground, we will not be evacuating the complete village or locality. I will come to that. We will just do a representative action. But the plan has to be there in detail. So we will be looking at this plan. And the observers especially will see this plan in detail. Wherever the search and rescue and relief operations are going to be carried out at again a selected village or locality, the initial response, which is going to be community based, and the emergency support function QRTs, that is going to be the first element of response. Thereafter, these elements will carry out damage assessment and reporting, and based on the analysis at the EOC, the incident commander will dispatch additional response elements for evacuation and further search and rescue and relief. Relief material for stranded people has to be provided, catered for. So these are the activities that will be simulated at the search and rescue sites. Then as far as specialized rescue is concerned, we will look at the specialized elements like the NDRF, SDRF, and even the CAPF providing, boat-based rescue, oblique drivers, rescue from rooftops for people who are stranded, rescue and search and rescue and relief during landslides, and use of helicopters also for evacuating stranded people, as also for evacuating medical casualties to hospitals. In the hospital that is nominated for the simulation, the reorganization of the hospital to receive flood victims and surge capacity creation, and its ability to function in a sustained manner despite disruption of certain services like electricity. Food may not be able to come over there, fuel may not be able to come there. So its ability to function in a sustained manner for at least 5 to 7 days before these services are restored. So these aspects will be checked, and the activation of the disaster management will be checked. We will have we will play a contingency where the ground floor or part of the ground floor has been flooded. So how does the hospital reorganize to cater for this flooding? What are the actions that are taken to move certain patients who cannot be accommodated to a hospital to a nearby hospital? And subsequently, of course, what is the plan for restoration of services in the hospital? Then as far as the school, industry or bridge or dam, whichever site is selected in that concerned district, what are the precautionary steps that have been taken by that industry or dam to cater for this contingency, so that there is no damage during the flood? Control of water in the dam, what is the system in place? Especially we will be looking at dams because if water is not released in a controlled manner, in a timely manner, it may itself create a situation, adverse situation for us. And when you are looking at dams, you will also be obviously looking at what is our linkage with the neighboring states whose dams and reservoirs release of water can affect our state. In case the industry gets flooded, there is spillage of chemicals, etc. What is the HASCEM response that is going to take place? Firstly, at the industry level, what training and resources do they have of their own? And subsequently, of course, we can look at specialized elements from the NDRF, etc. coming in to carry out this specialist response. I would request the KSDMA to select at least 3-4 industries which are, the hazardous industries, and we can, check our preparedness and capability in this regard over here. Now, once the floods have been indicated to you that the floods onset is there, obviously the notification of the event has to take place. So on the notification, there is this first action, of course, is notification by the SEOC, DOC takes place after business continuity check. Thereafter, we will look at switching over to some other system of communication other than mobile-based and landline-based communication. Thereafter, there will be a sequence of active actions. You are all aware when the notification of floods events takes place. How do you build situational awareness, including requisitioning of helicopters and use of UAVs, etc. This will culminate in the preparation of the incident action plan at the state and the district level. This will followed by obviously initially your responders have already been warned, because the floods are a progressive situation. There is not a sudden onset except in case of flash floods and landslides. So responders are already warned. How do they get mobilized, and how are they integrated? How do they move to the staging, etc. All those aspects will be there, and then the specific response action by itself. Now, for our convenience and to reduce any ambiguity, I have very clearly indicated what simulation has to be carried out in each of those 5 events. Now, when you are looking at the first event I had mentioned was the prophylactic evacuation of a village. So the first thing is, you have to, in your district, identify a village or locality that is very likely to be submerged during floods and which is very vulnerable. Possibly the road access there is poor, or there are large number of people living over there in hutments, etc., which are prone to getting damage, and very difficult for people to find safe shelter anywhere, etc. So this locality has been identified by you, and thereafter, once you commence the evacuation, we will look at 100 volunteers only to be collected, and these will be evacuated. So the system to be followed in evacuation: how do these people collect in an orderly manner to a RV, that is a rendezvous. From there, the vehicles which have already been placed from certain area have come over there, they evacuate them to established and nominated relief camp, etc. All these actions will be seen, including your medical backup, etc., for these elements, because some of these people may not be in a medically fit condition to be evacuated properly without medical attention. So these actions will be simulated in the village locality, and we will also simulate a situation wherein 2 households refuse to vacate. They say our property is here, we don't, our livestock is here, we don't want to go, there is no danger, etc. It can very well happen. So how do you deal with this? So this is the other action. So this is the first simulation. Similarly, I have listed for you what other actions are required to be carried out. So when you are looking at village and locality where actual floods have now come and you have to carry out search and rescue and evacuation, so we will look at using drones, etc., for building of situational awareness. Then we will look at evacuation of 25 people from the threatened areas using boats, first aid to 10 casualties at the MAP, medical aid post, triage of 10 wounded, actual casevac of 4 patients in 2 ambulances from the site to a nominated hospital, 2 fatal cases, their bodies have to be evacuated, that will be simulated. Then at the hospital itself, the reception of these casualties who have been moved, that will be seen, and how are these dead bodies managed, that will be seen. And of course, subsequently, restoration activities, what is your plan for debris removal, etc. So all this is going to be telescoped, all these actions are going to be telescoped in just 2.5 to 3 hours on the day of the mock exercise. When you look at relief, we will simulate that 15 people are stuck on the rooftops and they have to be provided relief material. So how is this relief material being provided by you? Community responders you can use that have been listed. It is up to the state to decide. You have large number of elements available to you. So when we come to specialized rescue, we are talking of search and rescue from public from rooftops or landslide area or from a river. So number of people I have listed over here. The coordinating officer is to ensure that these number of people and these arrangements are made to simulate the action. The actual response by the incident command. I will be sharing this presentation with the state after this coordinating conference is over. And so these details will be available for you, with you. No one needs to note them down. But please ensure that you take action as per this and plan as per this. Now, I will not go in through further details, similar details for the other sites. They are similar and they are self-explanatory. In case there are any doubts, subsequently also, you are most welcome to contact me and clear them. We still have good, almost 10 days till the mock exercise. Now, in this, I go back. When you talk of specialized rescue, we are looking at relief and cash-evac by helicopters. So the civil, that means the state government may have some helicopters of their own. If possible, they should use them. And they should also carry out liaison with the Air Force and the Army Aviation to provide helicopters where feasible. Now, the Sun Command, Air Command representative is here attending this coordinating conference. After I finish, I will then request him to clarify, or even if he can now, or just tell us in brief what kind of help they can provide, and then quantify it later after he clears it with the requisite authorities, and get back to the state and to us on this. So we were talking of simulation hospitals. Now here we are looking at, when a hospital is going to be inundated by casualties. Normally at an emergency, 1, 2, 3 patients are coming at a time, maximum. Emergencies are not taking place all the time. But when a large number of people suddenly come into a hospital and they have to come through the emergency, so the reception at the emergency has to be expanded and has to cater for this. Similarly, the capacities of hospitals have to go up. We call it the surge capacity. What is this capacity as per disaster management plan? And simulation of 10 extra beds and associated medical facilities, including extra staff, will be demonstrated during the mock exercise. So please note this. Industry, bridge, dam. Here we are looking at trapped people, workers. We are looking at spillage of chemicals, etc. So these actions on landslides. So these based on the profile and the vulnerability in the respective districts. Now, when we come to the incident response teams, as far as the simulations are concerned, appropriate structure and activation will be carried out, and all the major appointments, that is RO, IO, command and general staff, will be in place and will be functional. So the initial response will be coordinated as per the incident response team by these functionaries. When we talk of incident response system facilities, in each district, one of these will be created. So staging area, incident command post, helibase / helipad 1, relief camp, and a camp for responders, 1 each. So these are the facilities which will be activated on ground. When we talk of a relief camp, we are looking at you having capacity to cater for 50 people. It may actually be looking at a few hundred, up to 1,000 also. But on ground, we will just expect you to create, to simulate a relief camp to create capacity for 50 people. Staging area, we are all aware that is very critical. The functionality of the staging area, that they have protocols and systems in place, communications in place will be checked. So I was speaking of relief camp. It's come up here, 50 persons per camp. And obviously, it will cater for gender sensitivity. Camp for responders to cater for 20 responders. One restoration team for either of these services per district will be activated. Water supply, medical aid, food, things like mobile toilets and all these aspects, these have to be all in place. Equipment, MAP I said one per district site. Transport, we are requesting in helicopters, I mentioned over 2 here, preferably for evacuation of casualties, selected casualties, and these can also be used for rescue of stranded people. Sanitation arrangements to be in place. Again, to be representative in nature. We are not asking you to create a full-fledged relief camp, but these basic facilities must come up. Now, as far as the observers are concerned, I had mentioned they will be rendering a report each. This format of the report is there. The state has conducted earlier mock exercises. They would be familiar with this format. I'll be sharing this with you. I will request the state to kindly take a print of these and the districts also and give it to the observers well in time so that they move out with this format to the nominated simulation sites wherever they are supposed to go. Each stakeholder should also have a self-assessment form. So we want some candid inputs as to what are their observations as to how the system can be improved. What do you think were the good points? What else needs to be done, etc. And at the end of the exercise, when we have the debrief, first, during the debrief, we will listen to the observers accumulated the points which have been compiled by the senior observer in each district. We will not have time for all observers to speak. So the senior observer in each district and the nominated districts will give their points. And after the exercise is over, I will request the KSDMA to kindly compile all the inputs from both these forms that have been submitted, that is from the stakeholders and observers, and share these with us in their final report, after action report of the exercise. So the point I was mentioning, difficulties faced, what are the support you got, what was your contribution, what is your learning, what is your suggestion, and what are any other point that you would like to convey. This is for the stakeholders. Now, when the task forces are formed in the staging area and they move out based on orders of the incident commander and responsible officer, the task force commander will also have a format. These forms will be available at the staging area. They will also fill these forms and these should also be compiled. And when the task force reaches the simulation site, they should have a copy of this form as to what have they actually come with. And this will be shown to the observer. Now the last aspect for this conduct of the mock exercise is points regarding coordination and signposting. So, like I mentioned, we need to coordinate with the NDRF, with the Army, Air Force, and the Central Armed Police Forces, as also the Navy in our case. I have not mentioned over here. So, the coordination with them and the SAPF must be completed by 23rd December, and coordinate use of aerial assets, especially. In case there are issues coming up, the state is most welcome to approach me, and we will also approach the IDS in this regard if required. List of observers to be ready by 27 December, that is after the tabletop exercise. Now, coordination with NGOs is very important. Certain states we find the NGOs are there, but they're not being utilized for, they're not being incorporated in the mock exercise. So their representatives must be present during the tabletop exercise. You must have the details in the district level and the state level. What are the NGOs? What are their capacities? What particular help can they give? And how do you propose to employ them? And if you have a coordinating cell for NGOs in your state, it will help. All IRS facilities, etc., which have been set up in the EOCs, when you are functioning, the desk, etc., should have appropriate signs for various appointments. And the facility itself should have appropriate signboards. If, for example, you have a staging area, there should be an appropriate signboard, saying staging area. In addition, there is also a sign board that is we put up all staging areas, the format for which has been shared with you in the instructions for the exercise. Please see that. So the format for these signs and signboards, etc., the IRS facilities must be as per that. All appointments, all must wear armbands. All responders will wear those jackets, which are luminescent fluorescent jackets. So this must be worn. It was recommended that the state organize media coverage on 27th and 29th December and a media briefing after the mock exercise. With that, I come to this end of this briefing, and before I go ahead, I've got some representative sample photographs to show you how we go through the exercise. So this is one of the state IITs assembling. Obviously, I assume and I'm sure the Kerala's state SDMA EOC will be much more technologically and otherwise updated. This, of course, they are discussing and being briefed. The separate area for the logistics section, they are at work over here. Sample of a staging area. In this case, we were mentioning that distance should be avoided due to COVID-19. Of course, now those protocols are no longer so important. And after the assembly, etc., this is taking place simultaneously. Damage assessment is being carried out, and situational assessment is taking place. Use of drones, aerial survey, etc., and of course satellite imagery is extremely beneficial in this and must be utilized. You spoke of creation of surge capacities in hospitals, empty spaces like corridors, etc., your OPD areas which are not going to be in use now. These can be used to create additional bed capacities. And of course, overhead cover, etc., is provided. Additional medical staff also, retired doctors, doctors from private nursing homes, etc., individual people who are having their own practice, they must all be called up. Evacuation has to be planned if needed. So if you have to carry out prophylactic evacuation, it has to be carried out in a proper and coordinated manner. Relief camps and shelters, helicopters. Now, relief camp and shelters, it's very important that they're opened and used, created in an organized manner. So this is an actual photograph of one of the relief camps well before, we have got our act together for disaster management. And obviously, it's a black example of what should not be done. With this, I will finish my briefing for today. Now, if there are any questions, you're most welcome to ask.
Jamal Sudhir, our relief commissioner is here. Hopefully, sir will have few points to make.
Yes, please. So I will assume there are no questions.
No, there will be questions. But
okay,
there will
fine.
be questions. Yeah. I myself have few points to make, but before that, our state relief commissioner is here. So if sir would like to make few points. And we have Commissioner DM also, and Principal Director Local Self Government is also here. These are major stakeholders in terms of organizing this program.
Yes, please go ahead.
Rajamanikam sir? Sir? Yeah, so I will start. First point is, yes, we would really love to have the armed forces, the central armed forces involved this time. In March, we only had involved them passively. March 2022, we did a massive statewide mock exercise, actually 2 times, sometime in December 2021 and again in March 2022, across the state, like what you just mentioned. However, we didn't actively involve Central Armed Forces, particularly Air Force, Army, Navy, and the Central Police Forces. NDRF is always here. We have the Regional Response Center. We have only 2 teams of NDRF teams available in Kerala. So if we want to really do it in 5 locations per district, usually prior to monsoon, we pre-position 14 teams in Kerala. It might usually go up to 28 depending on the prognosis of weather. So what would NDRF suggest, that they will bring in more teams, or that we will stage manage with the available 2 teams? That's my first question. Second question is, in 2016, when we did the mock drill, we had the Air Force flying for us, and we did simulate a halo drop and a halo lift. So it will Air Force be able to facilitate that this time? We use the ALH. So if that is possible, would be wonderful. Third point is, we would really prefer to have central teams to be the observers. So there are these forces are distributed across the state. For example, Trivandrum has CRPF, BSF, and Army, the station command is here. The Air Force is also available here. If you go to Alleppey, the next nearest is Alleppey. Alleppey has ITBP. In Cochin, we have again Central Industrial Security Force, also Navy available there. Further north, if we go, Thrissur is NDRF base, and then comes at Calicut, we have the Defence Service Corps. So from amongst them, we would really love to apportion few districts each. We already have a triangular response plan for the Central Armed Forces in the state. So therefore, if that is possible, then we will basically position people from these different commands to separate districts. And for that, we will need the concurrence of these forces to be made available. so that once we chart, they would liaison with the respective districts and kind of go ahead and facilitate the availability of observers per district. So these are a few points that I wanted to make. I would really love to also do a separate small session with the Central Armed Forces along, so that we know what are their resource availabilities in terms of sharing for this particular activity. In our Orange Book, we already have an enlisting of what is to be made available by Air Force, Army, Navy. Everybody is kind of called on every May, and we publish the Orange Book. So Orange Book is pretty exhaustive in that sense, and therefore we know what they have. But for this specific mock drill, we really require the concurrence of the Central Armed Forces, the Central Police Forces, and NDRF. So thereafter, we definitely have all our district collectors present, and they will have specific questions. From the SDMA side, we would love to clarify two things. One, state is looking at doing this mock exercise in all local governments. So there will be separate Malayalam notes issued based on the presentation that is given now, as well for the local governments to do it in their way, utilizing the 13th working group and a large volunteer force available with the Fire and Rescue Service, through the Fire and Rescue Service, as Honorable Chief Minister had directed. So that will be one aspect of it. Second aspect of it is everything that Major General just mentioned in his presentation. We'll be translating it into Malayalam, and a specific slides that will be issued at the most by tomorrow or day after. This is what we'll be doing. So now, if Major General, if you want to respond to my questions, or you want to wait for the collectors and their queries on this aspect.
Right. So we will take on these issues now, and then we'll wait for the questions by the collectors after this. So first, your first point was regarding participation by the armed forces. As a normal norm that is being followed across the country, the armed forces come in only as observers, and they are not sending columns. Actual physical troops on ground to simulate action. However, that is, I'm talking of the Army and the Navy. But the Air Force and the Army have been sending helicopters and have been employing their drones for surveillance and providing you situational updates, etc. They've also been activating their communication systems, so they are in communication with you, and your SCOC and DOC are in constant touch with them, so that when the need arises, they can react as per requirement. So as far as communication system is concerned, command and control is concerned, situational awareness is concerned, we have requested the armed forces to activate these aspects, and I would request them to confirm over here. I can see Major Joseph is here, and of course Sun Air Command representative is here. So after I finish, I will first ask the Army and then the Air Force to get back with what they can do. And also, like I had mentioned, the Air Force does provide a few helicopters to help out in to simulate evacuation of casualties, to simulate rescue from rooftops, etc., dropping of relief material. So these are actions they do simulate. How much are they going to be doing now? Can they quantify now, or will they come back to us later? That is the second question, which the representative of Southern Air Command will address now. So let's take the inputs from Major Joseph, who's attending from the Army side. Major Joseph, please come in. Can you hear us, Major Joseph? I can see your name on the screen.
We also have Navy representative here.
Huh?
Yeah, Commander Prashant. Yeah, thank you.
Good afternoon, sir. From the Navy side, we'll be happy to participate, but however, the exact requirement, if it can be projected, we will take it into consideration, and we'll try and work out what is best possible.
All right, so I will leave it to you to coordinate directly with the Kerala SDMA. Between you can coordinate what quantum of help you can give or what is desirable, and I'm sure things will work out. Right, let's
We'll
have
do
the
that, sir.
Air Force, please. Thank you, Commander Prashant. Let's have the Air Force, please.
Good morning, sir. I'm Group Captain Shiloh from Southern Air Command. As I said, we are also ready to participate. However, we'll coordinate with KSDMA what is the requirement, exact requirement, and we will work out that.
Yes, please provide at least a couple of helicopters, okay? Thank you.
We'll do that. We'll do that.
Right. Okay, is the Army representative, is there any Army representative who can, who's listening to us? Please come in.
Good morning, sir. Major Joseph here.
Yeah, Joseph, did you hear what was going on? Please come in.
Yes, sir, I was there. So whatever are the requirements, we will do as per the system. So let's see, let's work on this, sir. Because we need clear-cut instructions, sir. What are the requirements? Accordingly, we will do it.
Right. So all of you, please get in touch with the member KSDMA directly, and I'm sure things can be coordinated well. I hope that takes care of the first point, Dr. Sekar.
Yes, it does. We could listen to our collectors if they have any specific questions.
Wait, you had some more points. I'll clarify those first. Okay, the next point was regarding NDRF. You know, how many teams are going to provide, etc. What is the level of involvement they're going to be, coming into this exercise. And like you mentioned, normally during the flood season, they have many more teams already pre-positioned here than what is the case at present. So let's have the Commandant NDRF is here. Can we please request you to come in and tell us, with what quantum of resources will you be participating? And especially we will be looking at you to come in with at least an element of HASCAM trained troops to simulate a chemical emergency in one of the MAF units. Yes, please.
Good afternoon, sir. Deputy Commandant Praveen here. So I propose that NDRF will be sending observers to all 14 districts, all DOCs. Apart from that, one NDRF team will take part in a full-fledged exercise in one of the districts, and that team will have its CBRN component as well. So that is what I propose from our side. If that would be all right.
You are sparing one team and 14 observers for the DOC. That's what you are suggesting.
Yes,
yes. Major General, then there is added issue of having the remaining 6 per district from the Central Armed Forces.
I was coming to that. I was coming to that.
Yeah.
I was coming to that.
Yeah.
So, will your commandant be coming, 4 Battalion India, will your commandant be attending the mock exercise at Trivandrum? He normally does.
Yes, the commandant would be physically present at the State Emergency Operations Center.
So, normally the NDRF commandant is the chief observer during the mock exercise, so that he takes care of one observer at the state level. I think you should, participate with at least 2 teams. You have 2 teams over there. So do participate with both the teams, and you can take out with 14 observers, still participate with 2 teams, balanced elements. Is that not feasible?
Yes, we will be able to provide 2 teams. So we'll be able to provide that.
Okay, so please participate with 2 teams, right? Now, as far as other observers are concerned, we had already spoken to the Army, Air Force and Navy. I will request them to kindly provide observers too. We will look at, 1 or 2 officers each from all 3 services, and about 6 to 7 JCOs, junior commissioned officers over oblique non-commissioned officer level people. So I hope that is acceptable. In case it is not, there are some issues, then you can, speak just now. Otherwise, if there are no issues and you say nothing, I will assume that is acceptable. Right, so that is acceptable, that is taken care of. Now, as far as BSF, CRPF, CISF, and all these elements are concerned, they as a norm, they do provide observers. They have no issues with it. That has been my experience in states. So I will request all their representatives to now pass this aspect on to the various elements located in their districts that they were requested to help out in providing observers, and the districts are requested to coordinate directly with them as to the observers that they need from them and what they can provide. On 27th, when we meet for the tabletop exercise, please, after your coordination with these various representatives, please finalize a list of observers on that day. And in case there are issues, it can be brought up during the final coordination that we are carrying out after the tabletop exercise for the mock exercise, and we will resolve them at that point of time. So I hope that this observer part is taken care of. So we've taken care of the issue of participation by the three services, participation by NDRF, provision of observers. And now there was a point regarding the involvement of local governments, etc. The more ground-based the participation, the better. So that is ideal, of course. So please do go ahead with that. So I hope I've taken care of all your issues. If there are any points more from the KSDMA, please come up. Otherwise, we'll request the districts to ask, clarify any doubts or if they've got any questions.
District collectors, DDMAs, if you have any questions, departments. Major General, I also have to mention to you that in the active participation list, we have all the Taluk emergency operation centers. So in Kerala, unlike anywhere else, we also have a Taluk EOC, wherein the Tahsildar, who is the Taluk level incident commander, coordinates all the local governments. So at the Taluk level, we have also mobilized all the local government representatives to attend this briefing. So they are also listening here. We acknowledge their presence. I would kindly request NDMA also to acknowledge the presence of the large number of local governments who are actively participating in this program.
Right. So that is very heartening indeed. And like I said, the response to disasters, any disaster, has to be at the ground level first. Anyone else coming from outside is only going to come in later. So unless the community level and the taluk level response is not effective, we are not going to be able to achieve whatever we want to achieve in terms of disaster relief and response. So to that extent, it's indeed heartening that the taluk level representatives are here. I am aware of certain compulsions because the NIC based link that many people are just participating passively, but we did share a YouTube link, and I hope all of them have been able to listen in and understand what we are planning to do. In case there are any questions, like I said, I am available. You are most welcome to clarify these between now and the 27th, or even after when I come there on 27th. Now, before we finish this conference, we had also requested the Airport Authority of India representative to be present. Is someone from the Airport Authority of India present? And also from the railways? Okay, they are
Railways,
not present.
the deputy safety officer in the beginning. Railways, I did see the deputy safety officer in the beginning, but AI I have not seen.
So they are very, they are also important elements in case of, major floods, etc. And I will request the state, to contact the local offices at the state capital and try and get their representatives also to be present during the tabletop exercise and the mock exercise.
Definitely.
Are there any more issues, please, with anyone before we conclude?
Major General, we have Dr. Asha Thomas, our Additional Chief Secretary Health, who's a senior most member in the State Executive Committee. Madam is present. Also, a Principal Director for the local governments, Mr. Rajamanikam IAS, is also present. Madam, sir, if you have any points to make, if you have anything to add or guide us.
No, I have been listening to the deliberations. I have no particular points to add. I can only say that I will make sure that the department is on board with the suggested schedule that you have been mentioning. Can you hear me?
Ma'am. Yeah, we can hear you, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. Prashant, sir. Rajamanikam, sir.
Sagar, like, I mean, already instruction is given to all, local bodies there. So they will be actively participating in it. The concerned district collectors, requested to coordinate with the, DD Panchayats and the municipality areas and the municipalities. So we will instruct accordingly. Okay.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Right, thank you.
From our side, everybody has responded. I hope collectors don't have any questions as of now. They have, maybe they can respond now. I think now floor is yours, Major General.
Thank you. Special thank you to ACSL, Dr. Asha, because we all understand, if the medical system is not on board and fully geared up, even though we may rescue certain people, we still may lose a few lives which may otherwise have been saved. So her presence here indicates, the seriousness that is being accorded to this aspect, as also the local governments. Principal Director is also here. So thank you very much for your support. And I'm sure with the multi-agency and multi-departmental support and the whole of the government approach that we are displaying over here, the mock exercise will be very fruitful in enhancing our preparedness collectively as the KSDMA and NDMA to take care of any contingency if it comes up. So with that, I will conclude today's deliberations, and basically the aim was to coordinate and orientate all of us towards an effective conduct of the mock exercise and preceded by the tabletop exercise from 27th to 29th of December. I will conclude over here, and I will request Dr. Shekhar to give the final summing up remarks.
From the State Disaster Management Authority, I thank National Disaster Management Authority for coming up with the second mock exercise, statewide mock exercise, and giving us this opportunity to scale up from one location in a district or 14 districts to all the local governments, all the taluks, all the districts to be involved and brought into one large mock exercise to be conducted at the end of this year, December, almost closing. So before we get into the new year, we are fully equipped to face with contingencies again, test our own capacities and improve upon those. So thank you all, especially our State Relief Commissioner, our Honorable Minister, our State Relief Commissioner, Commissioner DM Asha ma'am, Rajamanikam sir, all the district collectors, thank you for being present here. All the Tahsildars who have come and have been listening to this, and all the local governments, the sectoral agencies, the armed forces particularly, Army, Navy, Air Force, Coast Guard, CRPF, CISF, BSF, ITBP, all of you, thank you from the side of State Disaster Management.